Hi there, my name's Mark Hutchings, and what you're about to watch is a result of 60 years of combined knowledge and experience in trapping and hunting. This is the first video of a series, starting with possum skinning and tacking techniques, and was filmed in the southern Urewera National Park in New Zealand, where I've spent 20 years as a trapper. I was taught how to trap possums by a man called Jim O'Day in 1973. I was only 18, but had already done 7 years as a Boy Scout and 2.5 years with the New Zealand Mountain Safety, and I was pretty competent in the bush even by then. But in 1980, while trapping for my 7th year, I spent 2 months drinking water from a small stream which had had its headwaters sprayed by helicopter using paraquat and 2,4,5-T, and by 1986 I was a cripple. And it is with this set of circumstances that I feel pretty strongly about the use of any pest control poisons, particularly 1080. There are plenty of animal species around the world that have been trapped into extinction. Possums are introduced species into New Zealand and are out of their natural environment. With good trapping techniques, possums could easily be controlled, but there must be a monetary gain for the old trapper. It's hard work and in hard conditions. There are many skills to be mastered in order to be effective. Skinning and tacking out are two that must be mastered quickly. This series of videos, starting with skinning and tacking techniques, I hope will enhance the New Zealand fur trade and be an alternative to 1080.
Welcome to Sydney's Bivouac. A few skins in the doorway. Some of my last. It's been a very rough year. I'm trying to get some nice, these are the ones I'm after, but I'm coming for these nice big clean ones. I can get $100 each for these. I get them tanned and turned into a beautiful Davy Crockett hat. I've got more drying, I'll show you my drying shed later. Okay.
Before you start skinning possums, you'll need somewhere to tack them out and dry them. As you know, every bloke needs a shed, and possum trappers are no exception.
This is the drying shed. Very simple. I've had sophisticated ones, but they've cost me thousands, and when I finish with this one, it's all made of plastic. I just pull it all apart, roll it all up, and it's just a bundle of plastic to take out. Just rope and plastic. Cost me about $100. This is all double layered. It's all double layer of plastic through here, so there's no condensation. And this is double glazed with plastic in here, so that it gets the afternoon sun, just warms it up, and the morning sun warms up the floor. It's all black plastic and black carpet, and that's just a natural solar heater, and it just keeps the heat there. It's cool out here, but you walk inside and you can immediately feel it's warmer. And it's just air drying the skins. Big holes at the back. As long as the rain can't get in and it's double layered so there's no condensation, it'll just stay dry and warm. Very simple. We're only here for a couple of months. I've got about 20 skins hanging here. This is about 20 skins here, I think, drying. And that's for about 4 days. Very disappointing. A lot of wet weather this year and we haven't really done well. But I only need a handful. I'm chasing fashion fur. I've got a few roughies along the way. Anyway. Sometimes I hang barbed wire up under the trees as well. Barbed wire is good so the boards can hang up there and not slide around. But this is just a little homemade little dryer there. All very simple. The whole thing will pull apart in 20 minutes, half an hour and be gone. We'll show you some tacking out later. Everyone needs a good sharp knife if you're going to skin possums. This is what they call a bushman's friend. Had a plastic handle on it, but I've chopped it off and put a bone handle on it. Now, no matter what you use, you're going to have a sharp knife. It's got to be able to just shave the hair off, you know, and that's not even sharp. So I'm going to quickly show you how I keep a knife like this sharp. Bit of spit. I can use a cup of tea, I'm a bit dry. But for starters, you put the knife flat on the rough side. One of these carpenter stone, they've got a rough and a hard smooth, okay? You start on the rough, put the knife flat on it, and basically just clean the knife flat on both sides. Spit's fine, kerosine's alright, detergent's good, but don't do it on the kitchen table, alright? Okay, now you just basically just clean that, taking care to do the tip. The tip does a lot of work. You've got it flat against the stone, both sides, okay? Get that tip nice and clean, give it a bit of a clean, and you can see where I've taken it off here, but there's still this dull edge is what I've got to work on. That's the working edge. Okay, I've cleaned most of that, but there's still this dull piece, 2 or 3 mil wide. Okay, now to get that angle, you get the hard, smooth side, and you lay the flat on it. This blade is about 2 mil thick, and to get the good working edge, you pick it up about 3 mil, 1.5 thicknesses of the back of the blade. Okay, and the way to sharpen a knife, you don't rub it like this. You rub it by drawing it back and pushing it forward with your legs, okay? So you keep that nice, even angle, and you keep it about 3 mil up, and that nice, even angle, and you're pushing off to pull the filings off the edge of the blade this way. So you're pulling, and you're using your hips and your legs. You don't just go like this, or you'll end up with it all at an angle. Okay, so you keep that nice, you're pushing it off there, pushing it off, and making sure you work the whole edge. This is the working edge, this tip. You've really got to get that. You're pushing it off there. Push, okay? And then you turn it over and you're drawing it back towards you, keeping that 3 mil, drawing it with your feet, rather your legs, and you're in, drawing that tip off. Takes a few years of doing it maybe, but you got to use, you don't do this. You draw it, you keep your arms out and you're using your legs so you get that nice even. Okay. Once you've got if you can get that edge, yes, I can feel I'm running off that edge right off. So now I just got to quickly steel it to take that edge off and see if I can not cut myself, but if it's not really, but I'm going to use a little bit more work. It's taken some of my hair, but I've really got to do a bit more on this tip. It's getting there. Now we're talking. Now we're getting ready to do some work. Now, we're going to do some skinning. Now this is the big part of the operation. It's the one part where most people do the most damage. I'm very anti-speed skinning, okay? These skins, most of them are a bit rough. We've had a lot of rain and the skins haven't really performed, but we've got some really nice ones over here all the same. 1 or 2, a couple of lovely big does. And if you pluck so much as a 20-cent size of fur out of that, it's gone from being a $100 hat or a $200 hat to being plucked and blended with wool, and it's worth about $8. So I don't want to pluck any fur. I was taught how to skin by a man called Jim O'Day, and he used to deer skin, he used to shoot deer for skins, he's trapped rabbits for skins, and then he finally started back in the 50s, 60s, trapping possums for skins. And that man was a skinner. He'd skinned that many animals, and he had skinning down, and he taught me. And he said the 3 things that you are trying to do when you take a possum fur off, the most important thing is never pluck. And secondly, the next thing is that you never leave any meat on the skin. The skin has to come off clean, so that's just the skin. You don't want meat on it. And thirdly, it has to be cut in a shape that is the most value to the furrier back in Europe. He's going to make some beautiful hats and coats out of it. He doesn't want it cut out of shape so that he's losing pieces either side that don't match up. So you don't want to pluck, you don't want to leave any meat, and you've got to cut it to the correct shape. Okay? Alright, now skinning can be pretty messy. See, we've got our sharp knife. Now, to look after my pants and my leggings and everything, I have my pants, I should say. I have these canvas leggings. They can be, they're rough and they can handle the bush. And I skin with a glove, okay? When I'm up in the high country and it's cold, I wear 2 gloves, fingerless. But when I'm skinning, I at least have 1, okay? Now, that just gives you the ability to grab fatty flesh and get a good grip so you're pulling the meat off the possum. When you skin a possum, you're not taking the skin off the possum so much as taking the meat off the skin. If you try to pull the skin off the possum, you'll rip the skin. So you've got to learn to hold the skin strong so that it doesn't pull fur, but that you don't pull it enough to rip it. And you actually take the meat off the skin. But you've got to open it up first. Okay, so we'll start. This is a big old doe. I just wish I had 100 of them. She's had rigor mortis. Pull it, they get stiff, so you bend them over your knee like this. And that pulls all the rigor mortis out of them and loosens them up. And you can sometimes pull the legs, loosen them up. And sometimes the head will get a bit stiff and you just have to, I've already done it. But you've got to take the rigor mortis out of them. And you start, now you get into the idea, you've got to anchor the possum to the ground a lot so that it's solid and you can work on it, okay? You don't want it flapping around and hard to do. So when you start, when you're opening up, make sure the foot's turned right over. If it's turned over like this, you'll cut the wrong shape, okay? So you make sure when you start, your foot is like this and you're standing on it. You get to the idea of anchoring it to the ground with this part of your foot. And then pull the thing back up so it's under a bit of tension. And now these big knives, a lot of people say they're hard to skin with, but the secret is to get the tip under the skin and it'll lift the skin up. And if you get good, you can stick it in and it'll just pick the skin up and you don't have to cut that deep. Now what you're doing is you're aiming for the top of its brisket here, the top of its chest, and you're cutting through to there and then down to there. And then we cut up through here, okay? So you're anchoring it, cutting, you keep the knife down. Don't cut like this or you'll be wandering around. Have the knife like this so it's flat against it and you just slide it in under the skin, aiming for its top of its brisket, okay? And then right down to the back foot. You'll get really good at it. And then you cut round its wrists. Now I've seen people cut themselves by going like that. So make sure you're holding the foot up and your hands away from you, and you can twist it around and then twist it back this way. Okay, now I've seen people cut themselves doing that, so be careful. Hold it well away from you. And then once you're there, just push the knife right in as far underneath it as you can. Bring it up through to there. Don't go banging into its jawbone, it's very hard, it can chip your knife. So the last piece you just stick up on the side and cut through, right through to the lip. Now on big possums, to save my back, I just very carefully open this little piece here up, making sure you're getting on top of the meat. You're not leaving any meat, you don't cut in here, you're just cutting all that, not too much, just enough to open that corner up. So when you pull the skin right off at the end, it doesn't hurt your back so much. Okay, try not to leave any of that rubbish on, it'll all scrape. Then you cut its ears. Never use them anyway. Okay, and that's the opening of the front. And you turn the possum around end for end. And it's basically the same thing. You turn the foot right over, So you tap on its palm, and you're anchoring it to the ground with that, pulling it up fairly tight. And when you look on these darks, you'll see where it's dark fur and lighter fur. There's a line, sort of goes like that, but I just cut through, and there's its bum there, and there's its pouch. Okay, so you want to cut between, right on the top. So you've got to anchor it to the ground. Again, keep the knife flat. Don't hold it up like this and try to do it, but hold it flat against you and just have the tip in. And you just have it tight. You're pulling it up, pushing down with your foot. You cut right through to there. And it's the same again. Be careful while you're cutting around its ankles. Okay. Okay, now that's that there. You put it sideways underneath you then. Again, you're anchoring its tail. Make sure the tail doesn't slide or you'll pluck fur out. It's got to be anchored solid. You can just get your knife and sometimes just cut in here. Sometimes you can just push your fingers in and the whole pouch. This is the mother's pouch we're cutting out. Okay, we've got to pull all that up, and you just push down with your foot, pull up with this, and get your fingers, two fingers, careful you don't rip your hands on here, your fingers, but you hook your fingers underneath its back knee, one finger, and pull it right up. And you're trying to clear so that you can see its knee. I can't see its knee on this side. You see it's all covered over, but on this side it's open. And again, you pull up, and clear around it behind its knee so it's open there. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make skinning possums is at this point they punch up through here, right up into here, because it's easy to do, but it's the worst thing you can do. You'll leave all this meat on. When you get to this point here, all you do, you see that white line, there's a white line runs through the center of its legs, through its tummy. You stick your knife in here, right through, so it's coming out this side, and you cut up beside the pouch. Okay, up to there, and you cut the whole pouch out. Okay, so that's gone. And that's all you do at the bottom. And now again, you turn it end for end, and from here on you're working down, from the top down. And you've got to just lift the skin up. Just get a close-up of this. You see, you just pick it up here by this brisket, and very carefully, you just get enough, just enough for 2 fingers. You put 2 little fingers in there, anchor it again with its head, make sure it doesn't slide or you'll pluck fur. Anchor its head, pick it up by its foot or its tail, and pull back towards you. You're not pulling up this way, you're pulling back down its belly, towards its tummy. Okay, pull and anchoring with its foot as far as you can, and then swap fingers and use your hands. Get your hands in underneath here and clear, even one finger, and clear up under its armpits, back to its front feet.